Welcome back to Share Science, the weekly science brief for August 10th, 2026. I'm Curie.
And I'm Derek. Curie, this week has a real theme running through it, and I don't think it's the one people would guess.
Go on.
Almost every story this week is about something that was already there. Nobody built a new machine or flew to a new planet. People just looked harder at what they already had.
That is exactly right, and it is my favorite kind of week. Okay, so imagine this. The surface of the sun is 5,500 degrees Celsius, but its outer atmosphere, the corona, is over 1,000,000 degrees. That's like walking away from a fire and somehow getting hotter. How does that even make sense?
That's exactly the kind of thing that makes you stop and think. And I'm guessing we've got some new answers to that mystery?
We do, and it's all thanks to the most powerful solar telescope ever built. But that's just one of the stories we're diving into today. We've also got a 7-foot marble statue that survived because it was literally stepped on, a new species of Ice Age toad discovered in a museum drawer after 94 years, a tiny primate fossil that's rewriting part of our evolutionary history, and engineers figuring out how to aim heat like a flashlight.
5 stories, and every single one of them is about looking closer at what's already there. Let's get into it.
Let's start with the sun. So, this mystery, called the coronal heating problem, has been puzzling physicists since the 1940s. The surface of the sun is hot, obviously, but the corona, which is the sun's outer atmosphere, is hundreds of times hotter. It's completely counterintuitive.
Right, because you'd expect the temperature to drop as you move away from the heat source, not skyrocket. So, what's the new development?
On August 5th, researchers using the Daniel K. Inouye Solar Telescope published their findings in Nature. They captured images of something called Kelvin-Helmholtz instabilities on the sun's surface. These are tiny whirlpools that form when 2 layers of fluid slide past each other at different speeds.
Oh, like when wind blows across water and you get those curling waves?
Exactly. Or when you pour cream into coffee and see those swirls. Now imagine that happening on the sun, but on a much larger scale. These whirlpools are about 20 kilometers across, which might sound huge, but compared to the sun's 1.4 million kilometer diameter, it's like spotting a grain of sand on a beach.
That's incredible resolution. So, how do these whirlpools connect to the corona's extreme heat?
It's all about magnetic fields. The sun is threaded with magnetic field lines, and its plasma is electrically charged. When these whirlpools form, they twist and tangle the magnetic fields, storing enormous amounts of energy. Eventually, that energy gets released as heat, contributing to the corona's temperature.
So, does this mean the mystery is solved?
Not entirely. The researchers are careful to say this is part of the solution, not the whole story. The coronal heating problem likely involves multiple mechanisms. But this discovery takes one of those mechanisms from the math says this should happen to here it is, happening constantly.
And why does this matter to anyone who isn't a solar physicist?
Because understanding this helps us predict solar flares and coronal mass ejections, events that can knock out satellites, disrupt GPS, and even stress power grids. Think of it as a step toward creating a weather forecast for the sun.
That's a fascinating way to frame it. All right, next up, the statue that was saved by being stepped on. This one had me laughing when I first read about it. Archaeologists in Sardis, Turkey, uncovered a monumental marble statue of a young man. It's over 7 feet tall and dates back to the 5th century BCE.
Sardis! That's the ancient capital of Lydia, the kingdom of King Croesus, famous for his wealth. It's also one of the places where standardized coinage was invented.
Right, but here's the kicker. The statue survived because the Romans used it as pavement.
They paved over it?
Yep. Centuries after it was carved, someone hauled it to a colonnaded street, laid it face down, and paved over it. The carved surface, its face, hair, all the fine details, was pressed into the earth, protected from weather, wind, and even vandalism.
That's incredible. And it's true, so much ancient marble was burned in kilns to make lime for mortar. Being buried under a road was probably the safest thing that could have happened to it.
Exactly. The preservation is exceptional. The facial features are remarkably intact, and the figure appears to be holding a quince, a fruit with symbolic meaning in the ancient Mediterranean.
A quince! That ties into marriage, fertility, and offerings to the gods. And Sardis at the time was under Persian rule, so this statue is a blend of Greek, Lydian, and Persian influences. It's a cultural snapshot.
Where is it headed now?
Conservation first, then it'll be displayed at the Manisa Museum. Search Sardis Marble Statue 2026 if you want to see it. The hair alone is worth the click. On to story 3, the Ice Age toad that waited 94 years in a drawer. When I say Brea Tar Pits, what do you think of?
Saber-toothed cats, dire wolves, maybe a mammoth stuck in asphalt?
Right, the megafauna. But this week's discovery is much smaller, a new species of extinct spadefoot toad named Spea labriae. It's only the second Ice Age amphibian species ever identified in North America.
Only the second? That's shockingly low.
It is, and there are reasons for that. Amphibian bones are tiny and delicate, so early tar pit excavations didn't catch them. Plus, researchers were understandably focused on the big, dramatic animals.
So how did this toad finally come to light?
The fossils were excavated in 1929, but sat unstudied in a museum collection for over 90 years. In 2023, a researcher named Dr. J. Alberto Cruz went through the collection piece by piece. And there it was.
That's amazing. Sometimes the frontier is a filing cabinet.
Exactly. And finding this toad is significant because amphibians are excellent indicators of past climates. They're sensitive to moisture and temperature, so their presence tells us a lot about the environment.
What else did the paper reveal?
It also provided the first solid evidence that the Mexican burrowing toad once lived in the southwestern United States. Its range has shifted hundreds of miles south due to climate changes.
That's a critical data point for understanding how species adapt to changing climates. All from a drawer opened in 2023.
Yep. Search Spea labrea toad for more. It's a charming little animal.
Story 4 takes us 50 million years back to a new primate species called Titonius varliorum. It's from Wyoming, when the area was a subtropical forest.
This primate was about the size of a mouse lemur, small, big-eyed, and nocturnal. It's not a direct ancestor of humans, but sits near a crucial branch in the primate family tree.
And the discovery challenges assumptions?
Yes, Titonius was thought to represent a clean evolutionary sequence, but this new species shows that evolution was more of a bush than a ladder. Multiple lineages evolving features in different orders.
A reminder that straight lines in evolution are often an illusion.
Exactly. Search Titonius varliorum smiley draw for the full paper. Finally, let's talk about heat behaving like light. Engineers at UCLA got heat to travel through a crystal in focused beams at room temperature.
That's huge. How does it work?
Heat in a solid is vibration, atoms jiggling. In quantum mechanics, these vibrations come in packets called phonons. Normally, phonons scatter chaotically, but in a crystal like boron arsenide, they can focus along specific directions, creating heat beams.
And this could revolutionize thermal design?
Absolutely. Heat is the biggest limit on computing right now. If we can route it, we could design more efficient chips and data centers. This is still early stage, but it's a game changer.
So that's our week. Whirlpools on the sun, a statue saved by pavement, a toad in a drawer, a primate rewriting history, and heat behaving like light.
And all of it was already there, waiting for someone to look closer. The universe rewards curiosity.
If one of these stories grabbed you, search the terms we mentioned. They'll take you straight to the papers.
And if you enjoyed this, subscribing helps us keep going. Stay curious, everyone.
Until next week.